Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of Feast or Famine with the Youngs.
We are the Youngs.
I'm Veronica.
Alex.
Welcome. Welcome back. We're in the same clothes.
Thanks for coming back.
Because
If you are actually coming back, because some of you might be watching and or listening for the first time.
Yeah.
In which case, go watch and or listen to the
to
first
episode
one.
1. Yeah. We decided to film 2 episodes today.
So, you're welcome
You're welcome.
for wearing the same clothes.
Okay. Anyway, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about mindset
Imposter syndrome.
and imposter syndrome.
Yeah. Big topic in our industry.
Real big topic. I think not only our industry, but any creative industry.
Yeah.
I think imposter syndrome is a big thing.
Yeah. I feel like we all have felt it.
What is imposter syndrome, Veronica?
Imposter syndrome is feeling like you are not good enough
Do you want to ask Siri?
or...
Hey Siri, what is imposter syndrome?
It's going to be really loud.
Imposter syndrome is a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. Would you like to hear more?
No, thanks.
Gosh.
So
So-
straight from Siri herself,
Feeling
like
a fraud
Basically
or
not-
that your skill set is not good enough.
feeling like you're not good enough, and that by doing
By not doing
what you're doing, that you'll be seen as a fraud because
Yes.
you're not good enough.
Yes.
That is what imposter syndrome is.
Yep.
Thanks, Siri.
And I struggle with this all the time.
I struggle with it sometimes. I think we all struggle with it. As
Yeah.
creatives, I think it's inevitable that at some point in time, you're going to suffer from imposter syndrome.
And I feel like this is a really relatable topic just all around. Imposter syndrome kind of goes hand in hand with comparing yourself to others. And
Yes.
I feel like that's kind of like, that's the gateway to having imposter syndrome is when you
It's the-
start to compare yourself.
Comparison is the gateway drug to imposter syndrome.
Oh my God. Anyway.
It is, though.
Yeah. And I feel like personally, I have these like waves of imposter syndrome.
Feeling good enough and feeling like
Feeling
you
good
shouldn't be
enough and
doing-
feeling like I suck at my job.
which you don't.
Thank you. But a lot of the times it happens between October and December for me, almost every year.
Do you think it's because of either or both?
I know,
of
I have an answer.
How busy you are, or like the whole like seasonal depression thing is like a real thing?
Yeah. So I think it begins because October is the busiest season for us, most of the time anyway. And most of the time for all photographers, videographers. So our work is like being blasted. So you see more of each other's work, you know.
Not just our work, but everyone's work.
Like
Everybody
across
is
the world.
constantly putting stuff out
Yeah.
because it's the busy season.
Yeah.
So everybody's sharing what they've done.
And so you're just seeing other people's work. And I mean, for me, it's like, I want to shoot at a place like this, or why don't my images look like this, or, you know, whatever, because I'm seeing so much of everybody's stuff because everybody's so busy. And then once things slow down in December, I feel like it's manipulating for me in my mind, and it's kind of hard to explain. So hang tight with me for just a second. But I am coming off of this high from being really busy. And then I get into this lull of not being busy and the feeling of almost not being needed. And then also like seasonal depression. I feel not good enough. Does that make sense?
Wait, so you're saying because
Like I go from being extremely needed and busy
super busy to not busy at
to
all?
not busy
Right, okay, yeah.
and unneeded in my industry as a photographer, you know?
Because we have like late December through February basically is and at least in St. Louis,
Yeah.
in Missouri, in the Midwest,
And I know that
is
that's
pretty
not,
much nothing.
and I know that that's not the case. And I also say that to say that I'm not busy in December. There are things that I'm working on. There are things that I am busy with. I'm still responding to emails. I'm still sending out galleries that haven't been delivered yet. I'm still booking weddings, that type of thing. But it's not as heavy and as busy as, spring and fall.
Sorry, your not thing just made me like think of Jim Halpert.
It was bad.
It made me think of Jim Halpert. It's better to be pre-prepared.
Yes. I also was thinking about Andy from The Office.
From The Office.
When he's like, I get nervous. I say guys when I get nervous. Guys. Come on, guys. I say guys when I get nervous. So I feel like that's me every time I open up our podcast. Hey guys, welcome.
The Office podcast now.
Okay. Anyway. So yeah, I feel like that's where mine happens, and it's almost consistently every year. And then, it just kind of
It
like,
really is though, because I can
You call me
consistently
out.
tell you, Veronica, you do this every single
I know.
year at this exact same time.
and normally it's like, why aren't people booking me? I suck.
And it's always during the same lull in bookings that we
Yeah.
always have and that everybody in the industry has.
Yeah. And I think, there's a very fine line, and this is where it can get really healthy or where it can go really bad. When you start to compare yourself to other people, that can either encourage you or discourage you.
I think comparing yourself to other people most of the time is discouraging.
Yeah.
And I say that because in most cases, the people that you are comparing yourself to are the people that you're following on social media professionally, because it's people you look up to, in which case are in your eyes better than you.
Right.
So you're comparing yourself, even if you're just getting started, to these people that have been doing this for
Years.
years and years and years and have like gotten the highest level of success they can. And then you're trying to say, well, my stuff's not as good and I'm not getting this type of stuff. Well, you just started. Give it some time.
Yeah.
There's a reason that they're where they're at and they're as good as they are.
Right.
They've fostered their ability and made it better.
Mm-hmm. When does your imposter syndrome kick in? Is there something that, like for me, I said it's seasonal, but is there anything that like triggers yours?
I would say I have a specific example, actually.
Okay.
So we went to Venture Workshop that was hosted by White and Reverie, Christy and Kaylin, up in Denver. So they were doing film reviews, and I did not want to do a film review.
This is actually, I'm going to call you out. This is probably the one and only like mini argument that we had that whole week, was me trying to get you to do a film review.
Right.
And talking you into it. This is how you grow. This is how you grow.
And I know this.
Constructive
I know all
criticism.
these things, and it's 100%. I was 100% imposter syndrome because I had seen some of these guys and girls, some of the work that was out there from the people that were attending, and there's some insane talent at this workshop. And
he
so
just
Matt
kept saying,
Johnson,
I suck. I'm not going to do it.
Matt Johnson and David from David from Forestry Films were doing this film reviews. So I'm like, man, my stuff's not good enough. I don't want to get reamed, ripped apart. I don't want them to rip apart my stuff.
Yeah.
And that's stupid. That is the dumbest excuse, because how are you going to grow if the people that are at the top of your industry don't let them rip apart your stuff?
It was true. Like, really, it was a huge opportunity to learn. That's why I was like, Alex, like, if they rip you up, like, man, they rip you up, but
And
you're
take
going to,
notes.
but you need to take notes. Like, that's fine. You're going to grow. You're going to learn. And I was like, but this is not an opportunity you're going to have again. Maybe, but not for a long time.
So ultimately, Veronica ended up going up to load the video for
He
them.
literally could not get up to go submit to type in the
Guys,
film.
it was bad. It was real bad.
He was really nervous.
I don't get imposter syndrome a lot because I generally feel like I'm relatively confident most of the time. Not cocky, but confident. That'll be another topic another time.
Yeah.
But when I get imposter syndrome, it is bad. It is real bad.
His booty would not leave the seat.
So fast forwarding into the story, they loved the film.
Of course they did, because you're amazing.
They loved the film, and they only had a couple suggestions, and it really wasn't that.
They were suggestions we had already kind of talked about.
Yeah. That workshop
You were in
was
your head. You had
100% in my head because
you had imposter syndrome in that moment.
yeah, because I mean I'm trying to get to their level, and I mean that's one of the biggest reasons we went to venture is I mean there were some people there that had just started out. Mm-hmm. We went because we wanted to continue to network with people that were teaching and like,
learn and grow
and learn and continue to learn, but also like network with these folks.
Yeah.
Because that's where we want to be. So it was terrifying to me, the thought of, like, it was a crippling fear, the thought that the people that are where I'm striving to be are going to see my stuff and rip it apart. And I'm going to, like, go from on my way there to back to the beginning.
Yeah. And I think that this is a really important step, like, for any entrepreneur, specifically for photo and video. I had my work critiqued at a workshop 2 years ago.
Something like that.
And I was obviously nervous about it.
I mean, this person, like, did
But
editorials for
Martha Stewart. Yeah.
Bride.
And I mean, same thing. Like, it was a huge opportunity. I was not going to turn that down. And I went into it more of like the mindset of like, if they rip my shit up, that's fine. Like, I just need to know what to like improve on. I want to know what to improve on because this is what I want to do. I want to be better, that type of thing. So,
I remember a specific thing that you said, the day that we were doing this part of cause it was like a breakout groups at this workshop, and, everybody was told to bring as big a prints of a certain number of images of theirs as they could. And the beginning of that day, everybody had brought their prints down and people were looking at each other's, and she goes, wow, these are really good. I don't want to take mine out.
Yeah. And I didn't. Everybody in the beginning in the morning was just sharing their pictures with each other. I kept mine in the envelope. I was ashamed.
They were great though.
I mean, yeah, they were good. And I mean,
they were great. Stop
there
it.
was
They were
nothing.
Great.
So there were like a few, if I remember correctly, like the only thing was like, I put too much space at like the end of the picture with the feet.
There wasn't
like
enough. There wasn't enough space.
No, there was too much. Like my cropping was off pretty much.
Framing.
Yeah, my framing. And I think that was like my only critique.
But everything else is great.
Yeah. And that's a huge win. So I have done the same thing. But all of that to say, like, if you, just a little piece of advice here, if you are a photographer or a videographer and you have not gotten a review of your work by another,
or in any creative industry,
I know,
a writer, a musician, a producer, anything.
Yeah. If you have not gotten your work critiqued by someone, and by someone higher than you, better than you,
or even at
someone
the level
you look
that
up
you're
to,
striving to get to,
someone you look up to, do it, because it's a good thing to help you grow. And I feel like that those are the things that ultimately
and it's
set you apart.
terrifying, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah. You just have to be ready to accept criticism.
It will either solidify that you're on the right track and you'll know what to do to make it better and get closer to where you want to be, or it will show you that you're not on the right track.
And this is the way that you need to go.
This is how you need to redo things and get
improve.
there. And that's the part I think that is what cripples people from wanting to do that.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to, nobody wants to be told that their stuff isn't any good.
Well, nobody wants to move forward, like, or move backward. They want to move forward.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can't move forward where you want to go if you're not even on the right road.
Right. Ooh. Ooh. That's good.
It's a good one.
Say it again.
You can't move forward to be where you want to be if you're not even on the right road.
Yeah.
So you have to have somebody that takes you back to where you
Started.
made a wrong turn.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
And get there.
Ooh, honey.
And you can't do that unless you go to somebody who's already been there and knows how to get there.
Yeah. Who's already traveled that path. Hey, those were good. That was good.
Thanks.
So yeah.
It really just comes down to a mindset shift. And it's about finding a balance between confidence and humility.
Yeah.
You need to like be positive about your stuff, what you have to offer and where you're trying to be.
I think, you can tell me if you disagree or not, but I think that for us in our industry, it's harder to be positive about your work. It's easier to have the it's easier to basically like crap all over your work.
That just comes from being a creative, I think. I don't think it necessarily has to do with our specific industry. I think that comes from being a creative and just being overly critical of yourself.
So here's a good point. So, like be humble, right? Everybody tells you to be humble. And that's just like in life. But we hear it a lot in our industry about work and things like that. It's to be humble. And I am. I have no problem saying that. That's not a humble thing to do, but I am humble about my work specifically. I cannot take a compliment. It makes me uncomfortable.
Because you don't.
And I think that goes hand in hand.
I think it just comes down to we're trying to stay humble.
I feel like sometimes I'm too humble. It cripples me.
This is tiptoeing on my topic about confidence and arrogance. So we'll have to dive into this further another episode. But I think what that comes down to is you don't want to overly accept the compliment to a point where you seem arrogant.
Yeah.
But you also don't want to not accept it and seem like an a-hole.
Well, for me personally, when someone compliments me on a picture, I guess it depends on, which photo it is, but a lot of the times, yeah, it's a good photo, but is it something that I'm, incredibly proud of? Maybe, maybe not.
I have an example for this.
If it's not, I say thank you, but I feel like for me, the reason why it's hard for me to take a compliment is because I am constantly reminding myself to be humble, and that's where it cripples me, and causes my imposter syndrome, because it makes me feel like I am not good enough. I don't accept the compliment. I'm not like, yeah, that is a good
totally
picture.
Get that. And it's not really relevant to videography, but as a drummer, I will get off stage after a gig or a set or whatever, and somebody will be like, dude, you did awesome tonight, or dude, that you killed it, or whatever. And I'll accept a compliment, but it's always an awkward feeling, like, cool, thanks, appreciate that, dude, seriously, and it really,
You shrug it off.
I shrug it off in my mind, because what I'm thinking of
Is all the times you
is
messed up.
every single time in that set that I messed up and
Yeah.
I did something wrong, because I'm focusing on trying to be perfect. And
Yeah.
it's the creative's idea to be perfect. And that thought of making a perfect product or a perfect thing and just being perfect
Which
isn't the thing.
that is actually part of our branding. It says it on our website. We don't strive to create perfection. Some of my most, I feel like, impactful work and some of my personal favorite photographs I've ever taken are far from perfect. The lighting's off. It could be out of focus.
We're artists.
But it's like how the image makes you feel and the moment that may have been captured. So it's not all about perfection.
And that's where...
And that's the hardest thing for an entrepreneur,
like,
I feel
for
like.
me with video, if I'm going to stay in the same realm, I've leaned into the idea of, rather than trying to create the perfect shots and the perfect color correction and the perfect everything else, that technically, I want to tell a story.
Yeah.
And if I can tell a story that invokes emotion in somebody that doesn't even know the people that are being shown in the video, then I feel like I did a good job.
Yeah. Because to the consumer's eye, who doesn't necessarily know all the technical things behind their film,
Right.
they're not going to know if the volume's too high or if the color correction is off in our eyes.
If this
or,
camera shot doesn't match this camera shot
Yeah.
perfectly, they're never going to notice it.
Well,
Unless it's like
I mean,
drastic. But I mean,
yeah.
I'm talking like,
it's not going to impact the way that they see the film.
I'm talking like minute technical issues.
Yeah.
Like a soft shot that's on the screen for a second and a half. But you wanted to use that shot and it's the only one you got like that.
Yeah.
Use it.
Yeah.
If it helps tell the story, use it.
Yeah.
It's not about perfection as an artist. It's about what kind of emotion your product evokes in the person looking at it.
Yeah. So what is something that like you would advise for people who are trying to overcome imposter syndrome?
Get off social media.
Completely? You can't do that if you're a business owner.
Personally, and I'm sure most business owners that I know have a personal and a business account. A lot of them don't. If you do, get off your personal Instagram, social media, whatever. Take a break. Only get on your business one to post what you need to, and unfollow every single person. The second that you start to compare yourself, unfollow them.
That's my biggest advice is that.
Because if we're being real, in most cases, those people aren't your potential. They're not your ideal client anyway. They're not. They're not going to give you money to do work. They're just trying. You're trying to get inspiration from them, which is understandable. But the second you start comparing yourself to the point where it pulls you to a negative place mentally, you need to let go of it.
I feel like it's when I'm just going to speak from like my side as a photographer. I feel like when I start to compare myself to another photographer, it's easier to compare myself to someone who is either like in the same area as me,
On the same level.
Maybe we have the same market. I feel like that's a lot of where the comparison game happens. I don't think that, I would never compare myself to Jose Villa because Jose Villa is Jose Villa. But I would compare myself to someone in St. Louis who has the same market as me and is my quote competition. Because I feel like that's just where it automatically goes for most photographers. Which is why I don't follow any St. Louis photographers. Not because I don't like them, love y'all, but I don't want to compare myself to them. And I also don't necessarily want to view them as my competition.
I think it's twofold. I think it's that, but also because it's a strategy. It's a marketing strategy. The algorithms will give you what they think you want to see, and if they think you want to see a bunch of local photographers, that's what they're going to show you. When what we want to see are couples, real couples that are engaged, because that's our prime business. So we want to be able to connect with those people.
Yeah.
And get them to book us.
So
it's a twofold thing. And if you're struggling to unfollow those people, think of it in a logical marketing standpoint.
Yeah. I mean, at first when I started to unfollow a lot of my St. Louis photographer friends, I honestly told them, I was like, I was vulnerable. I'm like, hey, I'm going to unfollow you it's not because I'm mad at you. You didn't do anything wrong, but I need to do what's good for me right now. And I'm catching myself, comparing myself to other people. I need to not do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and smash that unfollow button, but like, we can still hang,
Outside of Instagram.
So I follow a lot of photographers across the world who inspire me.
And I think that's where people need to focus.
And I truly don't compare myself to them because I'm not in a place where it would even be a valid comparison.
Right. It's like saying, I love this shot of this couple on the mountaintop.
But we don't live in a mountain.
But we're in the Midwest.
So that's not going to happen.
So I really want to get a shot like that, but I have to be on a mountaintop to do it.
Right.
So it's a matter of eliminating the imposter syndrome, but still finding inspiration instead of comparison.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do. You want to find inspiration rather than comparison. So I follow several videographers across the country that I get a lot of inspiration from.
Yeah.
And honestly, because I look at it as inspiration, I can look at some of their work and say, I don't think it's that good.
Yeah.
That's not me being cocky.
We have a lot of people walking by.
I don't know if you can hear that or not, but I feel like we're on Good Day St. Louis or something.
They were talking about Jingle Jangle.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
I think it's on Netflix.
I don't know.
Anyway.
I feel like we're on Good Day St. Louis or something, and they're like the crowd on the street. And we'll have a crowd the next time we record. They're just like holding signs.
With signs in the background.
Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, being inspired. If you truly are following somebody that you're following them because they inspire you, then you should be able to find work that they have that you're just like, meh. If you don't, I would take a step back and see if you're actually comparing yourself to them.
That's good. Yeah.
Because some of my favorite videographers across the world, there's work of theirs that I've seen that I'm just like, meh. But then it's good, it's solid. But then there's stuff that's like, good Lord.
That's amazing.
I suck. But not in the sense of imposter syndrome, but like, I want to do something like that.
I want to improve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just feel like that's where it kind of imposter syndrome kind of nestles itself is with your surroundings, because that's where it's easier to compare to.
Those closest to where you are currently.
Yeah. And I just want to say, this is something that I feel like is never going to go away for specifically photographers and videographers. Like, this is something that we all kind of have every once in a while. It always pops up. It always pops up.
You don't cure yourself of imposter syndrome.
Yeah, it's totally natural. And when you catch yourself doing it, just like kick it to the curb, man, because you are good and you're good at what you're doing. And
go rewatch
you can improve always, and there's always room to grow, and you just got to take that opportunity to do it and not compare yourself to other people, because you're kick-ass and you got it.
Maybe go look at your early work and then go watch some of your favorite work that you've done.
Yeah, and that's a good idea.
Just to solidify, yes, I am getting better.
Yeah.
So I don't suck. I used to suck. But I don't suck anymore.
Right. Or, yeah.
My first video is horrible, but that's a different...
It's a different topic for a different day.
Topic. Anyway, we were rambling, so follow us. Catch us next time. And we will...
we'll see you guys soon.
We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.